0-0 at the Bernabeu, and the aggregate score still stands at 4-3. It is, of course, taking place at the Bernabeu in Madrid. Manchester City are still yet to break through, same as Madrid, though, and a draw, as we know, sends us through. Here to get into that is Trevor Sinclair and Nedum Onuoha. Trevor, what's your assessment of that first half?
It was a funny half, really, because I think at times Manchester City controlled the game, had good control, good possession, got into some good areas, and had end product. Courtois had to make 4-5 good saves. Not really looked like, apart from the Bernardo shot, I don't think we really looked like we were going to score, but we've threatened and we've kept the ball. But then in other parts of the game, they've had good possession, whereas their end product's not been there. They've not had a shot on target. So I think defensively we've dealt with it well, and offensively we have created chances without really looking like we're going to make that breakthrough. I
mean, we were all maybe expecting another basketball game. I mean, after the first 5 minutes, it was a bit end-to-end. It kind of settled into it a little bit more. It has played out very differently to that first leg. Who do you think is going to be the happier team going in at half-time?
I think it has to be City, in my opinion. You know, they've still got the lead, and they look at the fact that Madrid have had a couple of chances, but they've not registered a shot on target yet. You know, so ultimately the game plans are working all right for now. You see that the chances going, like the Benzema header and so on, it could have gone the other way, but overall they're getting people back into the right areas, and they're not making a ton of mistakes like maybe they did in that first leg. And the fact is, Real Madrid, they have to score. You know, if as it stands, City are going through. And I think that when you're in that sort of position, you have to be happy. And I think if they just clean up a few little bits, say in attack, I think they'll catch them, because as this game goes on, if Madrid need to score, because they're such a front foot side, they'll just throw bodies forward. And then with City the way they are, they can catch them on the break with the runners that they have. And as Trevor was saying before the game, you know, they've got great legs in there. They can charge about, they can get up and back. And with the quality they have up top as well, like, you can expect them to finish an opportunity, but you just need to make sure that before that point comes, you give yourself the opportunity by making sure the basics are right.
You mentioned the Benzema header, which kind of started the game. He maybe should have been probably given his high standards in the form intro, probably should have done a bit better. And then it was kind of three chances for City, really. We had Gabriel Jesus, we had the Phil Foden volley, and also Bernardo Silva. Could they have done anything more maybe to try and turn them into a goals, or do you think they were kind of half chances, difficult?
Yeah, I think the Bernardo one, I think he possibly, if he keeps that low, he probably scores. Puts it at a good height for Courtois, makes a good save, comes across well. This one, we're just seeing the chance there for Benzema. Obviously, he's done well in the past. We know he's a real threat in the box. And like we said, stop it at source, stop them easy crosses coming in. Just seeing that great touch from Kevin De Bruyne. He struck it well. I mean, it's a really good save. I mean, that was probably our best chance. But Casemiro, again, we've not mentioned him yet, but he's lucky to still not at least have been carded. I think he could have been carded twice already. Yeah. So he's lucky to be on the field of play. But yeah, good play again. And we were quite sharp in that final third, I thought. Some good movements. Here, Jesus just misses that near top corner. But we've looked sharp in that final third. It looks like we could create something.
You just feel like City scoring the first goal completely changes the dynamic of the match. Because there are times when, say, the possession's 50-50 basically at half-time, but it's been in swings and so on. And at times when City are moving it, they look like they could just move it for as long as they want. Yeah. You know, some of those, from there, they've sort of given the ball away with a couple of errors and so on. But Madrid, at times, they look broken. I'm seeing Benzema saying, people get up, everybody get up, but they don't have the structures to be able to do so and all that mentality. Yeah. So I think if City can sort of maintain that sort of composure, keep making the right decisions, because at times, like, you know, forcing a ball here is the wrong decision. But, like, I think we saw a ball from Laporte down the channel one time. I think it was for Foden to go for a header, but not for Foden to win the header. It's for him to compete enough for Bernardo to then take the chest down. Now you've got 2v1. You know, it might not suit our eye, but those are the right decisions. Yes. Play for territory as well as possession. I think if they do that, I think they'll be all right in the game.
We also had that, I think the chance came when it was played up by Edison, wasn't it? And Jesus had been a nuisance.
Exactly, yeah. Like, if you've got someone like Jesus up there and those other guys that play in the front line, they might not be the biggest nor the strongest, but they still compete. And this Real Madrid team, for the nature of the way they play in the league and so on, they don't necessarily want it to be ultra-competitive like that, people bumping into you and so on. But the skill is, you know, it's not just 1v1. Another player comes in, makes it a 2v1, you know, makes it a 3v1 and stuff like that, and that's the beauty of it. But to go back to something Trevor said, I don't know what the commentary will be saying in external places, but Casemiro not being booked for that first half is truly remarkable. Yeah. Because it was you could argue the shot that Bernardo makes, you know, he catches his ankle. Yeah. Then there was a scissor on Kevin De Bruyne. Then there was Phil Foden's shirt getting pulled back from his neck, and then he dived on the edge of the box. Like, what were we thinking, eh?
No, we said it before the game, you know, you just want fair officiating. I think he's been very lenient there, the referee. I think he should have booked Casemiro at least once. Really, when you look at the instance individually, the scissor tackle from behind, straight away, I think that's a booking.
Yeah. There's no intent to win the ball.
And then the challenge on Phil Foden, that's a booking. He's nowhere. He stayed down on the ground.
He's dragging him down. Like that's called a horse collar in American football. That's even a foul. That's a violent sport. That's a foul.
He stayed down on the ground to try and have the referee over. And he's got away with it because they're preparing the subs, making it all look realistic, like he's injured. And I'm like, if I'm that referee, I'm booking him before he goes off, even if he's injured. But as soon as he gets off to the side, oh no, I'm all right, go and sit down, goes back on. Listen, they've done it a million times. They know how he plays. He is that really combative player in there who gets a little bit like Fernandinho at times. You know, he'll make a foul and it'll probably be a bookable foul, but he'll smile at the referee, he'll help the boy up. There's loads of different ways to do that. He's lucky to be on the field of play.
When the players are on the pitch, you know, and what's quite frustrating is where the 2 yellows that came for them for Modric and Laporte, because I think the frustration was actually, it stemmed out of actually just not a booking to the right player. How do you go about, because I'm watching it as a fan going, all right, well, someone just needs to get Fernandinho one. You do have to control your emotions, don't you, and not let then that become the game, I guess.
You definitely do, because you don't want to cost your side. You know, that's the key thing. But at times you do have to lobby with the referee. He's not going to change his decision, change his mind. But that's something which, like, I think is a big misconception from the outside. When someone says, "Why bother talking to him after he's done whatever?" We have to, because it's like, are you sure about this? You're making them question what they've just done. Because, like, you could say, okay, you know, he's just pulled him down from behind the neck. Maybe the ref didn't know that.
Yes.
But now he's thinking about that sort of thing, and that's the reality of the situation. Because if you just let everything go, then it doesn't matter.
And I think we've seen it, Kevin De Bruyne going in, speaking to the referee as a grown-up, not swearing, not ranting, speaking to him and trying to understand why he's come to the decision not to book Casemiro. I think Bernardo's been in talking to him as well. And the more players that just keep on questioning, saying, in the right way, you know, you're not going down there giving him loads of grief. You're going in there and you're asking him the question, ref, he's wrong side, he's nowhere near the ball, he's coming through the back of our player. You've got to protect the health and well-being of our players. And then I think you put the onus on the referee to think, you know what, they keep on making these fouls, I'm going to have to stop it. And hopefully we'll get the right decision. And then, you know, if they're going again, you're starting to ask real questions of the referee.
Yeah, exactly. Let's then turn our attentions as we move into this kind of second half, Nedum. What do you think Pep will be saying to his players, and how can we maybe fashion a chance that might be more of a goal-scoring opportunity?
I think overall he'll be happy with, say, the way the first half has gone, but he probably won't say that to the players because he'll demand more. Because he knows that they can do more. And I think when that's the case as a player, you know yourself whether you're playing well or playing badly, you know what else you can add to a game. So they can go out there and they can understand they can do more. But there's also a reminder from Pep, the coaching staff, and all the senior players within the group to understand it's the last 45 minutes potentially for Real Madrid playing at the Bernabeu in front of 60,000 people. What do you think this second half is going to look like from them?
Yes.
You know, you have to be ready to be able to take on that challenge and understand how you can sort of stop their positives, but then also take advantage of their negatives. Understand at some point they're going to throw the kitchen sink at you. How do you deal with that and how do you play out of that? This is time for the players there to show character, to show personality, the way that they step out. They want to step out and enjoy the challenge and make the most of it instead of fear it. And I think for Pep and those players in there, I think it's something which they'll be very much looking forward to.
And if they do come at us and throw the kitchen sink at us, you know, that does kind of lean into City's hand a bit. Obviously, it's going to you have to weather the storm, but on a very open pitch, we know we've got the players to do it. But there's been a few times when there was even a point in the end of the second half there, I think it was Mahrez had tried to play the ball through to the point. It just wasn't quite, you know, what we used to see. Do you think they'll be a little bit annoyed that they've not quite had that quality that we're used to seeing on those particular breaks, Trev?
100%, and especially Mahrez. I didn't want to single him out, but defensively I think he's done okay. But the standards he's set for himself going forward, his end product, his crosses, his goals, his involvement, he's set such high standards. It's not quite been there. So I would say out of all the players, that'll probably one player that'll get a bit of a dressing down from Pep and warned, listen, if this carries on, I'm going to change you, because we've got Sterling there, we've got Grealish who can come on, they can rotate any of them front three in any positions. So I think his position is under threat in this second half. I think he'll start him in the second half, but if he continues to see just the standards that he's set not upheld, I think Mahrez has got a chance of being brought off, and then we could see the emphasis of, you know, Sterling coming on with different pace. One of the matchups that we've been massively watching is the Vinicius against Kyle Walker, and Kyle Walker's done really well. You know, at times, I think he's 3 or 4-0 up on individual battles. There was one time where Vinicius come inside and got a couple of nutmegs with other players, but that wasn't to do. Kyle's dealt with that situation really well. I think he gives Nedum a few kittens now and again, because he almost encourages the ball to go down, knowing that he's got another little gear to go down and take the ball, but he's done really well.
He really, really has. Gents, thank you so much. Now listen, I can bring him to speed because our women have also been in action today against Birmingham, and the game has finished over there. Manchester City women have won 6-0. Another unbelievable performance. They only now need one more point to qualify for the Champions League, which Nedum, as we know, at the start of the season, and listen, it's worth saying as well, there was a lot of injuries. I think Gareth really had his hands full with trying to even just put a team out on the pitch. It's an incredible run and achievement that they've done there, to just be 1 point off qualification. Yeah,
100%. I think, you know, at times if we say, oh, the injuries and stuff, you sound like an apologist, but that's the nature of football itself. When you don't have your main people there at such a key point in the season, and for them, they don't play 38 games. So like a slow start has a greater impact because the ending isn't going to be as far away as, say, you are having the men's game and the like. So for them to be able to be in this position is fantastic. They stuck together. I think they've won the Conti Cup as well, which was key. You know, because they stuck together, they fought hard, they bought in, and they were able to get some of the better players back from injury. And not everybody's back, but they're in a good spot, and it just goes to show you never give up, and that's the mentality people they bring into this football club.
I think as well, kudos to the club. Because, you know, Gareth's position was under threat. And they've stuck with him because they see the work that he's doing out on the training ground, working hard with the players, keeping encouraging the players. You might not have the depth in quality, but you still got to work the same way. You still got to encourage the players that are coming into the squad, because even though they might not have had the impact that they wanted, and we lost some games, once they step out of the squad, they've grown from that. Next time they get the opportunity, there'll be different players, they'll know what's expected. So in some ways, it can be a benefit.
Yeah, and I think still in for the FA Cup as well. And I'll just ask you, Nedum, I always like to look, if you were looking at the City's bench, maybe it does need a little freshen up, who would be you maybe to be turning to?
It's just, to be honest, it's just a privilege to look at this type of bench. You know what I mean? Like Gundogan's a captain, you've got Sterling who scored over 100 goals for the football club. You know, that's just a name, but two, you've got Zinchenko, who was magnificent in his recent games. You've got Fernandinho, who was like one of the best players at the end of last season. And you've got the young sort of flair as well, and like McAtee and Palmer's as well. So it's one of those, I think for Pep, as long as nobody's being sloppy in the second half, you don't really have to change it. But if you do have to change it, it's absolutely incredible who you can bring on, because those are spirit killers. Because I've been there myself, where you're playing up against someone you think you're doing well, then their number comes up and the person coming on is just as good. That is a nightmare in itself. And he'll say, hey, run at him. Those ones, okay, no problem.
Nedum's like that. Come close. Tight. I need a bit of help.
Gentlemen, an absolute pleasure. Thank you, Nedum. Thank you, Trevor. We're going to be back at full time, digging into all the action that's taking place at the Bernabeu. So 45 minutes left to play. Remember, a draw, if it stays like this, Manchester City will make it an all-England final in Paris, but of course we've got to take on these next 45 minutes against Madrid, so fingers crossed. Come on City. Alistair Mann, Michael Brown, I've got your commentary on the City app, and we'll be seeing you at full time. Come on City.
Well, thank you, Kel. Welcome back to the Bernabeu for the second half of this fascinating UEFA Champions League semi-final second leg. The Blues 4-3 up after a ridiculous game at the Etihad, really. Goals galore, chances galore. As